OMI breaking out to new highs this year. Let's talk about some things that can make this happen. Welcome to Wednesday night's OMI VV live stream on the Crypto Rain channel. Make it rain on that like button. Special note, this isn't financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We are crypto investors and lovers ourselves. And this live stream is our special weekly stream focused on VV, Ecomi, and NFTs. Welcome, my co-host, top NFT expert, one of the top people for the best alpha on the VV space and in the VV space, Dr. Stuff.
Hey, how's it going, Rain?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Just excited to talk about all things VV and hear your insights on the OMI token and what's going on there.
Yeah, so much happens in the VV space like so quickly. I feel like even the weekly, like in 1 week, so much goes by that, which is why part of the reason we started this channel. It's so hard to keep track of all the things happening on that. It seems like most projects, that is not the case. But in OMI, it just literally so much news, so much happening, so many artists, different things happening with different collectibles. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got Discord. I'm trying to close it down. It keeps coming up. So if you hear the beeps, I'll try to get rid of it. But I think I've taken care of it. So
now OMI's token price has really tanked these past months, and the price action is really depressing, or what I often call boring. And in the past few weeks, I actually doubled my OMI position. Now, in the audience, have you been tempted to sell, or are you buying? We're going to go over the price action later and what it looks like in the charts and why I'm so bullish, why I doubled my OMI position. We're going to cover 3 games that will use the OMI token. We're going to cover MTL, some of their goals for the quarter, price analysis, the comic cover that recently launched, the Matt Gondik drop, and UPC codes and possibilities. So what were your thoughts, Dr. Stuff, on the 3 games, the announcement about the 3 games using OMI and some updated announcements as to what one of them is?
Bullish, right? It was really great. Taps Trades, who, if you guys don't follow Taps Trades, you need to follow Taps Trades. He does phenomenal videos on VV, and just I love hearing his insights, and he does deep research on things. And some of this information I share is from him and from other VV YouTubers, right? I try to gather all the information into one point or one spot. So in the same AMA with Reese, Taps and Reese talked about 3 games, right, that are going to be using the OMI token. One of them, which like we basically know, which is Epico Regal. Epico Regal had done a tweet, which has since been removed, where they basically said that they're in partnership with VV, and everyone. It was kind of like out of the blue, and like I remember seeing it and being like, what's going on? This isn't like the MO for VV. Is this some sort of scam or what's going on? But no, basically one of the top strategic advisors for VV also, I believe, is the CEO or is a strategic advisor for Epico Regal. And so what Epico Regal is, for people who don't or aren't aware of them, it's very much like a Clash Royale type game, which I was heavily into Clash Royale, so I do need to jump on there and kind of, rank up if I can, so that I'm kind of like higher up in the ranks as they start using the OMI token. I can get familiar with that and potentially start earning some OMI, right, through playing that game. But what I really like about it is, for the longest time, OMI hasn't had a use case, right? And so through like over the last year, there's just been a lot of discussion, right, about like, well, why is crypto pumping and OMI's not pumping, or there'd be certain announcements and OMI would pump for a little bit and then it would just crash back down, and people are really frustrated with that. And I get it, but I would just keep saying, I'm like, the use case for the OMI token is not here yet. I mean, yeah, like we're burning, there was a burn mechanism that's kind of on pause because there currently isn't buybacks. So that it was deflationary, but and Reese talked about how they're working on additional deflationary mechanisms, even if so buybacks aren't off the table. So I'm going to derail for just a second on buybacks, right? Because this is pretty important when you're going to do your OMI token analysis. But one of the deflationary aspects of the token was, right, is that Vivi was going to go in and they were going to purchase some of the OMI out of the circulating supply, bring it into their OMI vaults, and then basically use that up in the app and eventually burn it. And then with the SEC and some of the regulations that were coming out with crypto and those rules, they were afraid that by doing that, it was going to create, OMI was going to become a security, which then faces additional scrutiny and regulations, and they did not want to do that. So now Reese had said that they're talking with a top SEC attorney and a securities expert to figure out if there is a way to alter it or tweak it somehow so that they could still do the buybacks or, create that deflationary mechanism. But that's not the only thing, right? They're using these games where they're building out stronger use case. And that's another very organic way to grow the demand for the token, right? Is if I need this, I need it to bet in this game or to play this game. I can earn these tokens, or I need to buy these tokens to play the game. So that announcement, I just got really, really excited about what's coming down the line for the OMI token.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me when I heard that they were having 3 games use the OMI token. I hadn't even thought of that use case. We are still waiting for their use case to go live, and that you have to hold and stake OMI in order to get access to the different levels of the Master Collectors program, which I think is a great use case. But I like that they're thinking outside the box and adding some more use cases with other projects using the OMI token. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what that looks like too, like what you need the OMI token for in those games and kind of how that is used. So like a non-crypto project, that is a faster way to get to a crypto project. I also like that they finally moved the OMI token over to Ethereum, and that opens up so many things that were kind of closed before because they were on GoChain, and GoChain just didn't get enough traction. That there weren't a lot of major centralized exchanges out there that were running GoChain nodes, and so they had a really hard time getting listed on different exchanges without fronting a whole lot of money in order to get listed on those. So I think the future looks rosy for lots of reasons, and the 3 games is just an additional one. What do you think about their quarter goals and where they felt like they're at on the money transmitter license?
So I think, and I'm really grateful that they did this. For the past year, I really think that the team was trying to please the crowds, right? But the crowds got bigger and the demands got bigger and bigger and more and more. And they just couldn't keep up with all of these little things that they would, that we would ask them to do. We're like, hey, like the comic listings are a little janky or something. Can you fix that? So then they'd fix that. We're like, hey, we'd like to see the price of our vaults, so they've added that. And, like there's just a lot that they've added. And I think that they finally just said, you know what, like there's certain things that we really have to focus on for the rest of our roadmap to go forward. And so for this quarter, right, in Q2, their main focus in order is the web app. Then number 2 is KYC, or Know Your Customer, which is an anti-money laundering, anti-terrorism funding, regulations and mechanisms, and then the money transmitter license. So, and one of the great things that Reese said is he kind of gave a pretty solid commitment that he believes that everyone, or their goal and their expectation is that by the end of Q2, everyone will have access to the MTL. But I'm going to go in real quick about why the web app is such a big deal, and why I think that they prioritize it first, right? So you have the web app there. The first thing that does is it cuts out the Apple fees or the Android fees, right? They're taking a 30% haircut on every gem that we buy. That's massive. That's massive.
So big. And when I heard that, I was like distraught because I thought they had more working capital than they did. But when I learned they were giving away 30%, not because they want to, because that's the price you pay for that 30%, I was like, they have a lot less cash coming in than I had thought they would have. Shoot.
Yeah.
So I would love for them to have that open, and I would buy it through there so that they get that money, right? Because I'd rather 100% go to them than 30% going to Apple.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to a single person who's like, no, I want to buy it off the app.
I know,
You
right?
know, everyone's going to do that. Everyone's going to go to the website. We want to support the VV team because like that supports ourselves, right? And like our collectibles and the OMI token, it does everything. It helps the ecosystem. So just that extra 30% is going to be massive for them building out the team, the devs, marketing, all of these things. But what also is going to happen, that why the web app is also so important, is for other, not as big a deal, but like still really important. Like the queue system is going to work a lot better on the web app, right? The KYC and everything, like everything is so much easier on a laptop than on your phone trying to type in all of this information.
Yep.
And then on top of that, just like your vaults, right? So like we're going to actually be able to see like such better, we're really going to be able to tell the quality of these collectibles when we have it on our laptop as opposed to our phone. And I think that people are going to be shocked at some of the level. I'm shocked at the level of detail on my phone. But once we get it onto the laptop and like you have vaultaholics and people just creating these vaults, first of all, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of manage your collectibles, your NFTs. I'm going to start saying NFTs. I know the VV steers away from that. They call it collectibles, but they are real NFTs. And anyone, please at me as much as you want. We'll have discussions about VV not being an NFT, any of them being NFTs, because they are absolutely NFTs. But anyways, I digress, right? Being able to move those NFTs around in your vault and interact with that, like it draws a lot of eyes to the project, even just that. And so there's going to be so much coming out of that web app that they'll be able to develop after that. That's just going to further the project. But the main thing being that the money that's coming in, right? So then you have that, then you're going to do the KYC and then the MTL. And it's funny because everyone's shouting, we want the MTL, we want the MTL. And there'll definitely be people who are going to cash out, right? There are people who are just like, I'm frustrated with the team just like not meeting the goals to my expectations, which they obviously have not been in the crypto space, because I don't know if they've heard of ETH 2.0. But how long has that been delayed? Like a year? And it's a big deal. It's a big project.
Like 4 years.
Yeah.
They started talking about ETH 2.0 in like 2015.
Yeah,
for
right.
context.
So there's a lot of people who they're not familiar with like the delays that happen, right? And they lose their patience. And that's sad. Like I literally am sad for them because they're bailing before things get really, really great. And I try to talk people out. Like I literally am taking time out of my day trying to at least like give people a bigger picture. Look, I'm not financial advice. If you want to leave, you're going to leave. So people are going to leave with the MTL, but there's so many people that I've talked to who have massive amounts of money who are like, you let me know as soon as I can actually cash out, and I'm going to really check this out, right? Because the first Disney NFTs, the first Marvel NFTs, these are big deals. They're really big deals. So very, very excited about those, second quarter goals. And the only thing that I ask and that I hope for, right, is if there are delays, which there can be, is that the team comes up and says, hey, here's what's happening. That's all we need. It's just that transparency. Here's what's happening. Here's what's kind of held us up. Here's this new timeline. There's going to be people who are upset about that. But for me and for any other investor, just that transparency, you're going to keep the majority of people excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to give some context both to the collectibles and their price being down as well as the token. So a lot of people think it should be a one-way street and that things only go up, and that's just not how it works in any marketplace. And it's great for these settling periods because it allows you to add into things that have a good potential to do well. I mean, the newer golden moments, right? The Winnie the Pooh, I think I have 5 of them now. I probably need about 50 of them. A lot of these golden moments that are this wave too, where the prices are just a lot lower. What other things do I really, really love that they have on there? I've got a couple of the battle statues that are at unbelievably low prices, right? That I think that one does really well. The Batman battle statue. And so with the collectibles, it's a good time to pick up some of the secret rare on the comics that you think will do well. Those are great. And some of the commons that you think will do well. I like these pullbacks because they create good opportunity. And there's always those that are impatient. And prior to crypto, I did real estate and other investing for about 20 years. And these same patterns carry over to every branch of investing there is. And what's great is it happens in crypto as well as even the VV collectibles. And these pullbacks are a great time to stock up. And then when things get really good, it's a great time to take some profits and sell when you hit that euphoria stage, which we hit, was it January? Was like pure euphoria stage. A bunch of blue check mark Twitter NFT collectors came in, put a bunch of money in, and prices went bananas. And, I looked back and I was like, I should have cashed out more, but I did sell some, right? And got some. Didn't sell a lot because I'm still waiting for even higher prices for a lot of these things. And with that, let's take a look at OMI's chart. And though I don't know in the audience how long you've been following Ecomi, I can't say I've been following it since the beginning, but I did invest in it in the beginning. I bought in the pre-sale of Ecomi like 2018. I actually have no idea where that GoChain wallet is, so I probably have about 100,000, maybe it's 70,000 worth of OMI token floating around in the ether. That I guess it decreases the circulating supply, so that benefits everyone. I have since added a lot more than what I lost from that. But they really, really boomed with this big run up we had in March. And they went from obscurity. I know this starts here, but the price actually was much, much lower. And it was a fraction of a cent. And it went about 100x, actually about 1,000x, depending on where you call the bottom at, up to almost 1.4 cents, even though it just shows here just close to 1.32. It went to about 1.4 cents. And then it does what almost everything does when it has that kind of parabolic move. It settles and it cools and it builds up some some momentum. And that momentum came up here to a resistance area, and 3 times it hit this resistance area and it broke back down. Now, in technical analysis, I frequently look for what I call W patterns. And this is forming a nice W. And what's critical on this W, another term for them is a double bottom, is that this is higher than this. And what often happens with this type of pattern is it then comes up like this, and it goes above, it breaks out, and sometimes there's a little bit of jitters here, and then it breaks out above, and then it'll often come back one more time and retest this level. So it usually comes back to there, and then it is off to the races to explore new highs. And I'm loving how clear this pattern is. We don't often get patterns that are so clear as this. Now, is it going to play out like this perfectly? They never play out perfectly. And this just gives us an idea of what is likely to happen. It can't look into the future and tell us exactly what is going to happen. As an investor, what I'm trying to do is make educated guesses on where it's going to go. Where are the probabilities? And so as I look at things, I'm like, okay, that looks like it's 60 or 70 or 80% probable that it should play out that way. And so as it's come back here, part of me wasn't excited because I was like, shoot, I did add some more right here. When it was in this pattern and it looked like it was breaking out because it did break above this. And so I added a bunch more and then it broke down right back into this. And then it broke down further and did this big retracement here. So part of me was like, crap. And part of me was like, okay, I'm going to play the hand that I'm dealt. And it just gave me 3 aces going down to these numbers. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to double my position in OMI. So I don't know. I forget how many I have. I think like 33 million OMI. And I might add more, especially, I don't know, this new bottom might be in, but I really, really like it around this price range. So probably I'm going to add some more around this price range. I mean, 0.25 cents. My expectations is it goes from anywhere from 6 to 30 cents if it doesn't hit meme coin status. And this isn't financial advice. Who knows how it will actually play out, but 6 to 30 cents is my personal numbers that I'm looking at. And then if it does hit meme coin status, maybe as high as $1 or higher. Somebody in the chat said $10. I had to love that comment. That was awesome. Now, why could it go so high, and what do I mean by meme coin status? So there was this very interesting thing that happened in March when OMI started running, and it was crazy that it happened. A lot of people, their first purchase in crypto of any altcoin was OMI, and they didn't know anything about crypto, but they were buying OMI, the OMI token. And that frequently happens with meme coins, which are like projects that don't necessarily have a lot of fundamentals. There are tons of hype. And, I mean, what are some big meme coins? One of them is Dogecoin. What are some of the other big meme coins out there? Shiba Inu, right? So people just join the hype train and they try to take the ride up. Well, OMI hit like meme coin status, even though there's actually some fundamentals behind it and there's a project behind it and there's like a legitimate company that's building NFTs and something, I would say tangible, not that NFTs are tangible, but something that you can see and have and own. So that was amazing. And if it happens again, and this time it's better set up to be able to be added on the big exchanges, so that if trading starts going crazy and these big exchanges see tons of volume heading to OMI, then they usually make it really easy for OMI to get added on their exchanges and save the team a lot of money, because you can always pay to get them on the big exchanges, but those costs are a lot of money. But they come to you when tons of trading volume happens because they want the profitability from the trading volume. So I'm looking forward to what the future looks like for OMI. Didn't ask for this big retracement, but it's kind of like, well, Christmas came again, and it means on the other stuff, I just have to be patient longer. But while the going's good, I add to my position. I want to check the chat. See, anyone else add to their positions on this pullback when it hit under 0.3 cents?
Rain, while we're waiting for some answers on that, a couple things. So Eugene Fritz, he asks, when is it going to get on other exchanges, right? They talked about that they already have lined up some other exchanges, but what they are planning is more organic growth, right? And basically they said like they could list them all at the same time, and it would create this kind of artificial pump where like there'd just be a lot of hype and it would pump up and then it would just come back down. And they're like, we want to kind of just build this organic growth. And so like we're spreading out these exchanges, but they have exchanges. We do know that there will be more exchanges this year, is what the team has told us. We don't know what those exchanges are. But I loved that answer, right? That they're just like, we are a long-term project is what I'm taking from this statement, right? Like, look, we're looking for the long term. We don't want these pump and dumps. So we have exchanges, and as we build out the utility to the token, as we build out marketing, which is coming, that's the other thing, is with that web app, right? Is they will be able to handle so much more traffic on the web app, and with the Q system, the KYC, the MTL, all these things. That's when I think that they will start to be able to do massive marketing, which they said that they will start rolling out. Right, is a lot more marketing and awareness of VV. Because there's a little bit of frustration, so there's a bat cowl drop with DC that's coming up, right? I think it's on the 20, like within a week or so, right? DC is releasing 200,000 bat cowls, and if you don't know what that is, that's the Batman mask, right? And there's some utility behind it. Now it's going to cost $300, which gives it a market cap of 60 million for this NFT, which is pretty wild. And there's already so many other like DC like NFTs through VV, through HRO. We'll see what happens, right? But like, I just lost my train of thought real quick. Yeah. So, was it going? I just blinked out, guys. I'm sorry. On the, was it the exchanges? Yeah, 2 to 3 more exchanges going this year. Yeah, sorry, Rain. I just blinked out on where I was going with that.
Yeah, no worries. We were talking about the exchanges and then how DC is doing a lot with like the bat cows. They're doing that themselves, and then also HRO has some things. If that brings anything to mind. If
Yeah,
not, let's
yeah. I'll jump back in when it hits
talk
me.
about the comic cover that came out today.
Mhm.
This was an interesting one, and we were waiting to see how this came down because. Do you want to tell everyone about the hologram there?
Yeah. So actually, I tweeted about this too, but like that was one of my. I remember reading that comic when Magneto rips the adamantium off of Wolverine, and like I have never hated a character so bad since. Wolverine is hands down my favorite superhero, and then when that happened, I could not believe it. Right, I was just like, and he just changed for me. Wolverine changed for me, right? So, anyways, on the front of this comic cover in the physical edition is a hologram, and you can see that in the NFT, the little Gambit style thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what if that's an actual hologram in the NFT? And so I tweeted out to Rain. I mean, not tweeted, but I texted to Rain and some other people. I was like, hey, just like FYI, as soon as you like, if you get this comic drop, look to see as soon as you receive, if you get a comment, look to see if that's a hologram, because if it is, I think the price will pump pretty significantly. Which Alex confirmed beforehand. Reverend Alex G, that like it wasn't a hologram. Now they could go back at some point and make that a hologram, which would be awesome. But just this comic in general had some pretty unique things. And I heard this from Old Rhubarb, who also has that's his Twitter handle. He also has a YouTube channel covering VV, and they talked about like the uncommon cover is actually a poster. And this is the first time that like a poster artwork has been made as to one of the variant covers on a VV NFT, which I thought that was pretty unique. Um, and then the secret rare was actually the hologram, that Gambit throwing the hologram on the common cover. They took that hologram and then made that the secret rare cover, with the actual full artwork. So just some cool things, like the little things that VV is doing, just to keep things exciting, as opposed to just that plain white background and basically taking, some artwork from one of the internal pages of the comic and making that the secret rare. They did that. So I like that a lot.
They have done some cool things. I finally got the context to the like alligator Loki, right? I saw that come out a while ago, and I was like, I don't really get it, so I wasn't all hyped on that. And then finally, I saw like the Loki Marvel like series, right? And saw the alligator Loki, and then I was like, oh, that thing is so cool. So sometimes they do a lot of these cool things, and then like when we understand the context of it, we're like, oh man, that was even way cooler than I realized.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I've loved that VB has done is they're coordinating a lot of things with Marvel and with Disney, right? So the partner statue drop and the golden moments kind of was in a coordination with Disney Plus, and then really pushing out Disney Plus. If you got one of the golden moments, you got a three months free of Disney Plus. If you got the partner statue, you got a year free, which I got. I was super excited for, and I'm using. And what we're starting to see is with these comic drops as well, right? That they're coordinating that. So we got the Moon Knight comic and the Moon Knight character, and now we have the Moon Knight series coming out, right, on Disney Plus, which makes me like, as there's a lot of speculation in the VV Twitter spaces, as they're doing these comic drops, like what this means, right? So I'll give you some very interesting alpha, right, that someone shared, some speculation. So I don't know, in this comic where Magneto rips the adamantium off of Wolverine, right? He is actually in this hidden space station called Avalon, and what the speculation is that basically we're going to start seeing the X-Men and the mutants kind of meet in this multiverse of madness type scenario, right? Where and how they can explain that and be like, well, why didn't they see anything? Is, oh, they've been hiding on some of these hidden spaceships or something. So like there's speculation around like how they could tie that in, but like we're starting to see like the Scarlet Witch, and we saw some comics with her, and then we've heard that like they've signed like a 7-year deal with the actress of the Scarlet Witch, so she's going to be a major part, and how powerful the Scarlet Witch is. So I think that what we're getting here on Vivi, which is crazy to think about, is we're getting a lot of hints as to where Marvel is headed with their movies and their TV series through these comic drops. And some of the collectible drops. So it's fun to just hear some of the speculation and then see some of this actually come to pass, right? So I just love like this kind of roadmap that I'm starting to see Vivi have with a lot of their partners. And I think that we're going to start seeing that a lot more with this the promo code that we're starting to see in the app.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. There, the ability to do promo codes that then you can like punch into your VV app and redeem something, or get a promo code there, and maybe like you get something and then you can redeem it for maybe a physical copy gets mailed to you or whatever. So it'll be fun to see how kind of that evolves. I mean, if you think about the bigger scheme of things, like NFTs, a lot of people are talking about NFTs, even though the crypto market isn't doing amazing now. They'll get talked about more as kind of that steam comes back. But what I look for in NFTs is not a lot of these projects are absolutely going to go to zero. So much is going to go to zero on NFTs and collectibles. What I look for is really good licenses, right? It's the good licenses that makes a big difference, because desirability is the most important thing, even over scarcity. Desirability is the number one thing, and not just for the license that you have, but on like the collectible app that you're in, or what, like the specific one will make a big difference. And so Vivi has one of the best chances to have that status where, because it has some of the best licenses out there, that these collectibles retain value, as well as that value goes way, way up. And so for me, I think it became clear pretty much by like last March or April. I was like, Vivi is leading this, and they've continued to lead it in a lot of ways. That this is like one of the platforms that I directed a lot of my funds to for my NFT and other collectibles, was this app, and also for the OMI token, because I was like, well, you never know in investing. You don't know 100% that they're going to dominate the space in 5 or 10 years. For me, though, it was a pretty good bet. And it's worked out really good so far. I mean, I've been around for a while. I remember when the comics first hit, and what was it? The Marvel #1. And we were all kind of confused as to like the comics, and it was kind of a different process. And then they were reselling, the commons were reselling for like $4 or $5 for the Marvel #1. And how many of you in the audience remember those days? Right. And we're like, oh, I was able to buy like 9 of them. That was great,
I remember I still kick myself to this day, because I had been landing a lot of the drops, just like the normal drops, right? Like, and then they introduced this blind box with the Marvel Mighties, right? The Marvel Mighties was the first one. And like, I didn't get anything special, and I bought several, and I was kind of like irked, And I think that they had 2 blind boxes of things before they dropped the comics. And so by the time they're dropping this Marvel 1 comic in a blind box format, I was like, look, I'm going to buy a few, but like, I'm kind of over it. And this was during the day. Like, you would like hit buy, right? Like, there was just, you could have bought so many on the drop, right? Like, it took a while for like these comics to sell out. And then, like you said, like afterwards, these Marvel #1 comics were just sitting on the resale market because people wanted the secret rare, right? And if they didn't get the secret rare or the ultra rare, then they were just like, oh, I just got the common, like I'm just selling it. And that's where I learned a big lesson with that comic. Because then I started seeing, and I bought a few more, but I think I got like 6 is all, right? And I do have, I think I have the ultra rare, but I learned that I needed to do research, right? I didn't know much about the Marvel comic #1 or anything, or the value of it. And so when the Amazing Spider-Man 1 came out, right, I did research, and I was like, okay, what's this selling for on the market? And I bought, I think like 40 you know. And I've definitely sold some of them for liquidity, but I'm still holding like a pretty decent bag of those. But I mean, Marvel #1, that's massive. And here's, I just want to kind of, I'm going to circle back to kind of like the price point that you were talking about right now with OMI and the collectibles. I remember the pump in January. People were coming to me and they were like, "Hey, like I see this, you know, these things are pumping. Should I get in?" And I said, "No, don't chase green candles," right? Like that's one of like your mottos, and it's so important, and it's so hard to fight against that emotion to see things going and be like, well, maybe I can jump in and then still ride this wave. And it's like, but if you don't and you buy at the top, like you're really hurting. But prices have declined significantly, right? To where now I'm telling people now is the time to be buying in, whether it's OMI. You know, if you're looking at this investment, not financial advice, this is what I'm doing, right? Like, is I am buying more OMI, and I have bought. I've sold some things, like some things I've stacked, and I'm trying to stack the golden moments and some more of like these major IPs, because like you said, Rain, nothing is for certain, but when you have these major IPs that just have a massive fan base already, and then you got this VV team that's working with this, and the I want to touch. I brought up the promo codes, and you hit on a little bit. I really want to hit this point home. I made this tweet, and this is my prediction, and I'm really interested to see what happens. But it's been over, like, it's almost been about a year. David Yu showed a picture of a T-Rex. We know that they have Jurassic Park, and they showed a T-Rex NFT, right? And it looked phenomenal. I was like, that is so incredible. And we haven't seen it. So I made this tweet and I said, I think that when Jurassic Park, the newest Jurassic Park movie, comes out in like June, I think that they're going to do a promotion where basically either with your ticket or if you buy something, you're going to get a little promo code that you're going to be able to enter in, and you're going to get a VV Jurassic Park NFT. That's my prediction. And if it doesn't happen, so be it. But that's the power of what we're going to start seeing, right? And they already talked that they have a major partnership with a massive toy company. I don't know who that is. That there's a lot of, I think Jazzwares is one. Hasbro, we've seen that they have like Mattel, right? They got that license with the hoverboard. But basically what we're going to start seeing is there's going to be these toys. You can purchase the physical. There's going to be a promo code, and it's going to bring a lot of eyes of the masses into being like, oh, like, what is this? Oh, I'm going to download the app. I get this free NFT. Oh, I could sell this NFT. I could actually like make money. Or like I can use that and I can take pictures with it. Like, it's going to bring so, like, the power of what this is going to do is incredible. And I don't think that people see that. I don't really think that they see what this promo code that all of a sudden showed up is really the impact it's going to have on the VV ecosystem. I truly believe it's going to be massive.
So we had a question from Morningstar, and I wanted to get to Nine's question after that. He asked. Nine is one of our Telegram admins. We really appreciate the great work he does on booting out bots, as well as toxic people get booted right out of our Telegram community. We have low patience for that. Anyway, Morningstar asks, he said, I disagree with you. It's community, transparency, and utility, not brands. Okay, interesting take. The community that they built is great. Maybe perhaps it's even a combination of all those things, because I don't think you're wrong there. The transparency really has built loyalty, right? Because they are very transparent. And what I really, really like is you see the collector in like David Yu come out, like, is guiding a lot of their decisions. And I know you have an inner collector. I imagine almost all of us does. And so what I like is that one of the people steering the ship is like an avid collector, is himself, like his whole life. And you see that guiding their decisions. That gives me peace of mind that they won't just like screw us, right? Because they could have sold the company, from a rumor that I heard, for a lot of money, and they didn't.
So I want to touch on Morningstar. You make a great point. I think that community, transparency, and utility, if you can have a brand, but if you don't have those things, it's not going to go very far. But I think that if you have those things and a major brand, it's going to go further. I mean, you can take examples like Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? They built this community. They've been pretty transparent with how things are going, and they're selling their apes on Christie's, right? I mean, I think the floor on them is like 150 ETH, which is like $500,000. We're starting to see this emergence of moonbirds, right, coming out, and a lot of it's a speculation on the utility that these are going to offer, and people are really excited about that. So utility is massive, right? Like, but what I'm thinking worldwide adoption. That's where I think Vivi has the chance to do that. There's so many people who don't know how to use OpenSea. They're not going to get a crypto wallet, right? Or at least not for a while. But would they go download an app and buy some gems and like purchase an NFT that they think looks cool, or get a promo code and enter it in and download the app and then check it out, and then they're going to have money into it. So, but I agree. And like, I think that VB has gotten the message about transparency. I think that there was some pretty big frustration and justified frustration as to kind of like, well, what's going on with the MTL? Like what? So, I don't know. I appreciate that. VV has an incredibly strong community. Transparency is getting there, and the utility, I think, is coming, right? And that's where Matt Gondek dropped. Can we jump to that real quick?
Yeah, can we answer what's your best guess on Nine's question? He's been pretty patient with that. It's a great question. I haven't heard. So my answer would be speculative, meaning I would think so.
The answer is yes, absolutely. They've actually answered that and said that will be removed, which is another major bullish sign, right? Because there's some people that are just like, okay, Ray Fixie, for example, right? Like he's definitely a VV whale, and he's talked about the frustration of like his bank was like, what's going on here? You're doing all these like, $600 transactions. And it was like a pain for him to load gems in. And so he kind of went off app, right, to purchase gems, because he's just like, I want to buy hundreds of thousands of gems, not 600. You know how many transactions I got to do, for 100,000 gems? Like, that's crazy. I don't have time for that, right? So the removal of that through the web app will be massive. So yeah, great question, Nine. That's where you're going to see some massive whales coming in. And to Morningstar's point about utility, Matt Gondek, I don't know if you know who he is, but he has some really cool pop art, and I had seen some of his work. I didn't know that's who it was, but like where he kind of deconstructs some of the images of famous characters. Simpsons being one of them. But he had done a drop, a weapons rack drop was one of his drops. And then he also did this, it was called Failure of Control, which was this 2D art piece, really cool piece. Like I was like, I'm getting this on the drop. I just really like it. And I did. And I've got both sets and I've held on to them. And then basically, something really, really cool happened where Matt Gondek was talking about another kind of artwork or art piece that he was doing, and someone in the comments said, "Hey, what about an airdrop for like the people who are holding your sets?" And he just responded and said, "Okay." And so then people tweeted that out and things, and I was like, was that like sarcastic? Like it could be, but I was like, either way, I'm okay because I hold the set, right? And that's what he did, is all of a sudden for holding those sets, he airdropped for the people who held the weapons rack set. You got an airdrop, a secret rare, right, for master collector points. That's pretty massive. And then also another secret rare if you held that Failure of Control. And one of the really cool things with the Failure of Control mint is you got a matching mint, right? Secret rare. So like I had 1905 Failure of Control, and I got a 1905 secret rare of one of the Deadbeats characters, that secret rare character. And so I do think that there's going to be added utility. I do think that going forward, especially some of the bigger brands, as they see these independent artists do that, because what that does, right, is it increases the volume of trading. Because now people are like, well, wait a second, I want to buy this and I'm going to hold, because what if Disney gives me an airdrop for holding certain collectibles? Or what if Marvel does, right? So I think that and So it's going to take away some of the flipping, and people are going to be buying that and holding because they just in case that utility is there. So they've demonstrated that there is utility. They've demonstrated that with James Bond NFT ticket. So and with this promo code, there's just a lot of utility there. So that's the thing, Morningstar. I think that Vivi truly has the incredible, like, perfect recipe of all of those things together: the team, the utility, the transparency is there now to basically and that community to where it's really set to just do some amazing things this year.
Some exciting times. So in the chat, I didn't hear. I did see Sam Gann said he's buying another 2 million OMI. It's hard to buy when things are down. Number one, you might have all your cash deployed. Number two, like, it isn't that exciting to buy when things are boring, which is a term that I frequently use, not just on this VV live stream. During the regular week, we do regular episodes where I cover different investments, not just VV, that I like. And I talk about buying when it's boring. And it's a principle that usually works out really well. Now, you do have to couple that with solid fundamental analysis so that you're buying in projects or tokens that have a high likelihood of success. And then you buy when it's boring. It does really well over time. And fair to say the token price has been very down or very boring, and that the collectible prices are way down and very boring. Though we are starting to see some money come back into the collectibles. Have you noticed that, Doctor?
Yeah. So there's been some interesting price action, and I think it's a combination of certain things. But I want to say something. This has been really cool. My most viral tweet to date, right, is I said, I feel like I've felt a shift in sentiment in the VV community. And then I said, have you felt it? And the vast majority of people are like, yeah. And I think that there's several things, right? The fact that people are getting drops again. Time and time again, I've seen people tweet or text me and be like, man, VV is getting so fun again. Like, like, I've hit these drops and what am I going to get? That excitement. And taking away the bots has done something significant. I don't think that people realize the damage that the bots were actually doing to the ecosystem, right? They were taking liquidity out of the hands of the collectors, because what was happening, they were getting all the drops, so they were getting all the higher price things. They would floor the commons and the uncommons of whatever, right? But then they would sell at a premium the secret rares, the ultra rares, sometimes the rares, right? And then they would take that, they would sell the gems at a discount and cash out, right? So then the people who are coming in, like the whales, who don't want to, like, that $600 cap, they're just like, I'm just going to buy here at a discounted price. And it was the collectors that were kind of like left just buying these pieces at a higher price point, But now that they're landing drops again, they can flip some of the things that they don't want to buy the things that they do want. So the money is still staying in there, right? And they're building up that, and so people are getting excited again. They're willing to, like, now Scorpion. That's his name on Twitter. He shared from Puddin Cheeks, who does this great graph, but like, we are still seeing that, like, the amount of gems that people are putting in is not is lower than the amount of gems spent in the app, right? So we do want to see more gems coming in, but I think that's that shift, right? There hasn't been a mindset change, but there's a shift in sentiment. We're starting to kind of see the floor on some of these collectibles increase, and again, the combination is that I think that they are removing some of the bot listings. That's happening. We have that 30-day listing removal, right? So if your listing's been there for 30 days, you're going to remove it. But I saw band leader Mickey, right, who I've been saying for a little while. I'm like, I'm just stacking these at like $40. I think the price is around $55, $56 now. There was a big drop. And again, I don't know if that's the bot removal or the 30-day listings or people buying them up, but we're starting to see. So Moonlight, secret rare comic, that was sitting at $300 for several weeks, is now up to like $700 or $800, right? So we're starting to see some of the prices of these collectibles go up, man. And there's this shift, and I'm really getting excited about that. So yeah, I absolutely, things are moving in the right direction.
Remember, when we hit some really good price action, take some profits. You sense a little, put some, and even if we don't have money to transmit or like, it's not a bad idea to take some profits out when things go really, really good. And especially when we hit that euphoria stage. And how you know you're in euphoria is when it seems like every 10 minutes the price is going up by 10 or 20%. That is definitely the euphoria phase. Now, in the audience, if you're ready to level up your crypto game and you haven't already, join the Rainmakers community. Rainmakers are like the Navy SEALs of crypto. We don't get shaken out easily, tenacious, highly informed. And if that feels like what you were looking for, join us. So whether you're here for life-changing money, I know some of you are here for wife-changing money, or for that Lambo, strap in because these next number of months are going to be really, really hot. Join us by subscribing with that all notifications bell enabled. Remember, at the end of the day, no rain, no gain.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit bad before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I take the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. Principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic to dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.